officials to give us an update on the missing, the disappearance rather, of Nancy Guthrie, the mother of Savannah Guthrie, today's show host. We're expecting this. It was expected to kick off about 1:30. We're 1:35 now. Obviously, it takes a minute for all of these to be set up, but we're monitoring the situation. Earlier today, as we mentioned, that there were signs of forced entry at the home. There were signs of an abduction, her personal belongings left behind. And obviously, everyone who is following this case online is concerned. Their thoughts and their prayers are with Savannah and with Nancy and with the rest of the family. We are getting a lot of comments online already. I can see here Allison on Facebook asking if her walker was missing. This is something we don't know. Hopefully we're going to get some more information, once the sheriff arrives, once the investigators arrive, to let us know what could be happening here, what might be the latest updates.
And again, we're here waiting for potential updates that we can expect from this press conference. Sheriff Nano's telling CBS they do believe she was abducted. And so they are treating this in a certain way, saying she didn't walk away from there. She didn't go willingly. It is reported police found blood in Nancy Guthrie's home and are testing it to determine whose it is. Nanos does not know if Nancy was harmed when she was removed from the home. Again, limited information that we have.
Yep. And this was something that was covered earlier on the 11 o'clock, our midday, our news now at 11. Stacy Scheibel, our anchor, talking about this story, was very worked up about it. People are getting worked up about it. Everybody is getting worked up about it. A lot of prayers being sent to the Guthrie family. As they mentioned, Nancy was a very religious woman. She would regularly attend church. And so Savannah taking to social media, asking for prayers for the safe return of her mother. You can see right there, Nancy, the photos and video coming in. And people are still coming in, still supporting you guys, everybody, on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok. We are seeing a lot of prayer emojis, a lot of comments like Stacy Diamonds here just says praying for the family. That obviously is something that is common.
Right, and I think you mentioned it earlier, but it's important to note, in any situation like this, time is of the essence, right? It's incredibly important to get information out as quickly as you can so that you can learn new information and relevant information as soon as possible. Here, again, the medication, a key part of this story. Yes. It is said that she's got a medication she needs to receive every day, and the clock just keeps ticking. Presumably, she hasn't received that medication, right, and that can be fatal for her. We don't know what that medication is. We don't know what it treats or anything like that. We just know that is a factor here. Search and rescuers were sent home on Monday to rest after looking all night. And they said they threw everything at this, right? The sheriff's saying they used drones, aircrafts, helicopters, heat sensors, infrared, everything that they had, they threw at this. And so, as you can see here, many people waiting. Again, we are 8 minutes past the expected time for this press conference. So any moment now, we can expect to hear, presumably from the sheriff or people within that sheriff department, about an update today.
Yeah, Pima County officials, obviously, as you mentioned yesterday, they were asking for community's help. That's where we are at this point, where they were asking for photos, videos, anything that might help with the investigation, basically asking for them to be submitted through their tip line there in Pima County. And, every detail in a case like this matters, whether it be a big tip, a small tip, you never know what it could be that could lead officials onto the right path. Because right now that's really what they're looking for. They're looking for a path to follow to try and figure out what happened to Nancy.
Yeah, the sheriff said that they're throwing truly everything at this. One of the things he leaned on and really pressed home in yesterday's press conference was how they are throwing the entire book when it comes to technology at this case, saying they're using everything from AI, and that's really why they want to make sure everyone who might have anything, right? Say there's a local living there. If you have Ring camera, even if you think that there's nothing really relevant on that Ring footage, they don't care. They want you to send it in because anything at that point could be helpful. And so we expect, depending on whatever update is given here, that to remain true. Again, if you have any information whatsoever, regardless of if you're in Arizona or if you're somewhere outside of the state, again, if you think it is relevant to the case of Nancy Guthrie, please send it in. That's what they've been saying. That's what they continue to say. And that's the message we want to convey across to you as well as we sit here, a live look into the Pima County Sheriff's Department, waiting for them to begin this press conference today.
Right. As you guys are all watching on Facebook, we're streaming on Facebook, on TikTok, on YouTube as well now. We're seeing a lot of comments, just flooding in. And I'm just going to highlight a few of them here because you're seeing a lot of very similar thoughts being shared. This is from Andrea on Facebook. Prayers that she's found safe. Obviously, that is something that the family has been doing. They've been praying a lot, as is apparently what everyone else online is doing. Again, a lot of these, like Linda sent in here, just the prayer emoji, the hands together, as you could see. I could continue. And put a million different comments that we are getting, and they're all very similar. Prayers for the family, praying for Nancy Guthrie, praying for Savannah. This is a case that is really touching a lot of people. And
we've got some questions, again, people asking what blood. We don't know. And we can't assume that it was hers. We don't know if it was the intruder's. We don't know if it is blood from a different situation. We just don't know. All we know is that it was found and it is being tested. And again, DNA is collected there as well. And they are testing that and hoping to get an answer soon about what that piece of evidence could mean. Again, kind of the keystone here is that they do not believe she left her home willingly. In fact, the sheriff going so far to say, we know she didn't, and that he says, quote, I believe she was abducted. Yes, she didn't walk away from there. She didn't go willingly. And so it is being treated as a crime scene. Homicide is involved, but we don't know to the extent. They're not treating it as a homicide as of this point. We don't have that update. We just know that they're treating it as a crime, and pretty much everyone who can be involved, it sounds like, has been involved.
Right. Just to remind everybody, we're looking here. We're waiting for a press conference. It was expected to start at 1:30. It's currently 1:42 as we are awaiting Pima County officials to give an update on the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie, the mother of Today Show host Savannah Guthrie. As we wait, as we look, as we watch for
an update.
Yeah. Just a situation that nobody absolutely wants to go through.
Yeah, and again, the timing of it all, the scale of it. Again, Savannah Guthrie, one of the faces of the Today Show, one of the faces of NBC, was expected to go out for the Olympics that are getting started here, opening ceremonies at the end of this week. Again, that is now in question. As you can imagine, whether or not she would end up going there. Again, she was expected to, but now we're not sure if that will happen. Again, she updating people, right, on Instagram,
yes,
putting out a post this morning, thanking those who have been praying and leaning into, the power of prayer and saying, if you can, if you would, please pray for the safe return of her mother. And they're grateful for the support that they've been getting. But again, a lot of questions still in the air, a lot of uncertainties, and hopefully this press conference that we are waiting on here in Pima County will express some light on some of those questions.
Right. Yeah. I just want to, make sure that everybody is up to date on what we know about this situation. We had a report from the Associated Press that came in earlier today, right before we went on stream, in fact, and we've already talked a lot about that, what that report included that signs of breakage or breaking into the home of Nancy Guthrie, the signs that this was possibly an abduction because of her personal effects, her cell phone, her car, her wallet were left behind in the case. Just looking through the report here, you could see that investigators said that they're reviewing surveillance footage from nearby homes. They're working with data analysts to look at cell phone tower data to see, what could or what might have happened here. And
this
it looks
appears
like
to be
we
the sheriff.
Might be getting some movement here. Yeah, let's go live up here real quick.
Seems to be stepping to the podium.
Good morning.
Here we go.
I don't know that everybody knows who's here. Of course, I'm Sheriff Chris Nanos. John Edwards is the Tucson chief here for the FBI. And he'll have some words for you as well. You know, this is really, for me, pretty new, all the media attention. So I apologize to you for sometimes I'm speaking in generalities, and I'm not used to everybody hanging on to my words and then trying to hold me accountable for what I say, but I understand. So we're going to try our best to be succinct with you in the future, and also more important for you to understand is we have a lot of work in front of us. We have a job to do, and we have someone's life who is in jeopardy. And so job number one is we got to find her, and we got to work hard to do that. I understand there's great attention on this, and rightfully so, and I appreciate it, and I thank you for it because it has generated a lot of leads for us. And so we're tracking those leads, and we're doing things with evidence that you would expect us to be doing. So having said that, we're going to set this up. I know that a number of you yesterday, you guys drove me crazy. Yesterday I was going from a.m. to all the way till 9, 10, 11, midnight, answering concerns and questions, and it's just too tough. And it's not fair to the case. So what I'm going to tell you is today we're going to do this similar to what we're doing right now. Here we'll take questions. It's not really my briefing, it's your briefing. You'll be able to ask us some questions. We'll probably shut you off after a while because I just can't be here all day. We have work to do. But we'll take some questions, and then in a couple of days, unless something breaks, we'll do this every couple of days. So, and we'll set up with you through our PIO teams to give you anything that comes up that might change, but clearly they'll notify you on these, what I call media briefings. So with that, I'm going to ask John to come up. If you've got a statement to say, John, and then we'll take some questions and we'll get back to work.
Hello, I'm John Edwards. My spelling is Jonedwards. I'm the Assistant Special Agent in charge of the FBI's office here in Tucson. First, we want the community to know that the FBI is doing everything in our power to bring Nancy Guthrie home to her family. The FBI is working alongside the Pima County Sheriff's Department on this incident. In terms of what the FBI is doing, we are providing the following support. Primarily, it's analytical and technical support in the following ways. We're downloading and analyzing cell phones, obtaining cell tower information, conducting interviews, and providing any and all investigative support that the Sheriff's Department needs. We are looking at this from every angle, but we need your help. If you live in the area or saw something on Saturday night, the 31st of January, or Sunday morning, the 1st of February, please report it to the Pima County Sheriff's Department or the FBI at 1-800-CALL-FBI. Every lead and tip is important. We are aggressively pursuing and looking into every single one. Again, please help us bring Nancy Guthrie home. Thank you.
We'll take some questions.
Sheriff, is there any indication so far as to whether this was a random abduction or targeted?
It's like I said earlier, you know, we're looking at all the leads, and we don't know. We're going to assume both sides of that. We'll look at both sides of that.
Sheriff, do you have any idea what Nancy Guthrie was wearing, or the type of car that she might have left from, or any identifiable information that the public could use to help with those tips?
We do not.
Sheriff, do you believe that one or more than one person was involved in the kidnapping?
Just no clue. It could have been one. It could have been more. I don't know. Let me get one second.
Is there any indication that Nancy Guthrie is still alive? We know the medication played a critical role here. It's been 48 hours. She needs it every single day. Are you looking for someone that is still alive?
We hope we are. We hope we are.
Sheriff said earlier that you don't believe there's a wider threat to the public. If you're not sure if it's targeted, why do you believe there's no wider threat to the public?
Well, we have crime in Tucson all the time, right? Like any city. And so when you say a threat to the public, is there somebody out there who's kidnapping elderly people in the middle of the night every night? We've not heard that. We don't believe that's the case. We do believe that Nancy was taken from her home against her will, and that's where we're at.
Sheriff, when you reference violence at the site, can you elaborate on that? And also, was there a sign of forced entry, any valuables taken, any bank or ATM cards used after her disappearance?
We're not getting into that. What I'd tell you is, like any crime scene, we processed this crime scene. We gathered all the evidence we could, to include looking for what? Fingerprints, DNA, camera images, everything you can imagine, and we gathered that out. Those things have been submitted forward to labs, to technological companies to help us, and we're like you. We're waiting for those returns to come back.
Did you find DNA that did not belong in that house?
The window of time from when she was last seen to when she was reported missing, and I know you guys are asking for help from the public, is there any way to narrow down what time you might be helpful? I know there was a report about a pacemaker dinging like around 2 o'clock in the morning. Is there any way to indicate to people, hey, look around 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. to help them identify what they might have?
You know, I really don't want to get into narrowing down the time, because narrowing it down means we could miss some tips and leads. We're working on with the data we've submitted for investigative analysis. We're working to see if that time can be tightened up. But for now, we're going with what we told you earlier. She was dropped off at 9:30, and she was found to be missing at about 11 o'clock Sunday morning. Let me get this one.
DNA of anyone else found in the house?
We've submitted all kinds of samples for DNA, and we've gotten some back, but nothing to indicate any suspects.
Anybody strange in the neighborhood? I know you're looking at video, different surveillance camera, anything that we should be looking out, different cars.
I have nothing in that regard.
Have any demands been made by kidnappers?
We have all kinds of investigative leads we're working on.
Sheriff, we noticed that the camera on the front of the house is missing. Do you believe the perpetrator purposely took the camera?
Don't know that. We're looking into that as well. Yes, sir.
That seems been fully processed now. We saw deputies leave around 6 o'clock last night. We didn't see tape go up. You know, an Amazon driver was able to walk right up to the door. Is that pretty standard for how you handle this?
The scene is done. We're done with the residents. If we need to go back to get, maybe we want to do something with some other piece of evidence there, we contact the family and let them know. But we have turned that over to the family. I don't have the time, but it was sometime yesterday, I believe.
Have you covered any tire tracks or any
No, ma'am.
footprints around the house?
No.
Was there any
Could you please take us through the timeline that you've established of the events so far and with as much detail as
9:30, 9:45, we were told she was left at her home by the family. At 11 o'clock in the morning, the family got notice from somebody at church that she was not at church. They went to the home, found her to be missing. That's the timeline. From Saturday night, 9:45, we'll say, to Sunday morning, 11 o'clock. Let me get somebody back here, please.
Have you interviewed the people that reported her missing, the people from the
That's the family. Oh, from the church as well. We're doing all kinds of interviews, yes, I'm sure we have.
Have you been able to access the footage from the cameras at the house?
That's all been submitted, and we're doing our best with those companies who own those cameras or built those cameras.
Are there any plans to release those videos from the cameras, from the surveillance? Are there any plans to release the video from the cameras, surveillance footage?
We don't even have them yet, so no, not at this time. This is an active investigation.
There's a report of a suspicious man a few doors down last week. Is that anything that you guys are aware of?
I'm not aware of it. My detectives may be. There's a lot of detective work being done, and I just can't get into those weeds or even discuss with you what they may not have learned. Yes, ma'am.
Support from the board yesterday. Are there specific resources that maybe the board has not granted that would have made a difference responding to this case?
Well, you know, that's getting into my own local politics. I apologize. Yes, the board a few weeks ago denied a request for more cameras, more drones, more AI capabilities with our own body-worn cameras. All those things, you know, that you'd have to talk to the board. I'm not probably not the right time to go into this.
Sheriff,
Let me get somebody else here.
Sheriff,
Yes.
do you believe she's still in this area?
Do we believe?
Do you believe she's still in this area, or is there somewhere else?
We don't know where she is. So you like any investigation. You start from the point of where we last saw her, and we work out, and we are working as far out as we can go.
Sheriff, were there evidence of forced
entry at the house, like any broken windows or whatever? Does it seem like people just went in and out the
There are
front door?
concerns at the house that concerned us from the early on part of this investigation, and that's all I will tell you. Yes, ma'am.
Sheriff, is there any history with Nancy needing police at her place or concerns where she was worried about somebody following or?
You know, our investigative team has looked into all of those things, and that has not been brought to my attention. So she may have had something like that, but I'm not aware of it.
What is the extent of collaboration with the federal government? Obviously, FBI is here. CBP, are there other agencies also involved?
CBP's role in this was in our search and rescue mission, where we constantly use them. They have great dogs too. Our dogs aren't tracking dogs for this. Theirs are, and so they came out and did that. Anybody else though that we've asked for help from, whether it's the FBI, I know if we needed help from CBP or DEA or ATF, they would gladly give it. I've heard from leadership from all sorts of agencies, not just at the federal level, but across the state. Every one of them saying, Sheriff, you need anything, we're here.
So you obviously said investigators, when they got on scene, they found suspicious circumstances. When the family called originally to report her missing, did they say anything about the state of the home?
I don't know that. I don't know. Let me hang on. Let me make sure I'm getting some different people here. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So there was blood that was found inside the house, and you're testing it for DNA. How much blood and where was it?
I'm not saying there's blood inside that house or outside that house. What I'm saying is our team processed a scene like you would think of any crime scene. We go in and we process it. We look for things like that: blood, DNA, any kind of physical evidence, fingerprints, anything, and all of that is gathered and submitted to a lab. That lab will report back to us what they find. So far, that what we found from that lab is nothing that would tell us this is who did this.
We'll take a couple more questions, and then the sheriff's got to go.
Sheriff, can you walk through the evidence that was found at the scene in as much detail as possible?
No, I cannot.
What is
I
the
cannot.
bottleneck to the surveillance footage? I know you said some of it is in the cloud, but you've also been reached out to tech companies that are saying they're cooperating. Why do not have the surveillance footage on media?
That's what I tell them. How come I don't have this? Where's my evidence? It is a process, and I'm sorry, but you know, we're grateful that there's large corporations and companies who have bent over backwards to help us, to say, hey, Sheriff, tell us what you need. And so, yeah, I can't slam them. And we've asked them. They know the urgency here, but I'm like you. What do you mean I don't know that now? Yeah, it's tough.
The answer that you gave earlier, you were asked if there
Last question.
You were asked if there was any ransom, and you didn't say no. You said we're following all leads. Does that mean a ransom has come in?
We're following all leads we have. That's all I can tell you. We've got hundreds of leads, and it's from you that produce those leads by telling people we need help, and I'm grateful for that. But I'm not going to get into all that. We have a team designated to deal with all of our leads. They're looking into all of that. We are sharing all of our leads with the FBI. They are helping us in evaluating those leads, how good they are, where that priority should be. And so we're just, look, I know you guys are doing your job, and you're doing a great job, but we have a job to do too, and I really need to back away from this for a while, and we'll see you, unless something breaks, we'll see you Thursday morning. PIO will give you a time frame, I'm guessing somewhere around 11:30, but we'll get it.
That's it. Thank you.
I need your emails. If you are not on the email list, get with me in the corner. I'll be right by the sheriff's side.
That was the press conference out of Pima County Sheriff's Department, going over any updates in the Nancy Guthrie disappearance, which not many major updates. I think the most significant, if any, was hearing from John Edwards in the FBI office in Tucson, saying that their role in this is downloading cell phone data, downloading stuff from cell phones, getting cell tower information, and then requesting, again, as we reiterated at the beginning here, they are truly asking anyone with any information whatsoever to please let Pima County Sheriff's Office and the FBI know. Again, they gave 1-800-CALL-FBI if you have any information regarding this disappearance. And then
Josh,
they went straight into answering questions from reporters in that room.
it seemed like a fairly frustrating press conference, not only for any individuals watching, for the members of the press, but also for Sheriff Nanos, who seemed to not have a lot to provide in terms of new updates. They talked about how they have a lot of work still in front of them, but that the national attention that has been put on this case, no doubt thanks to her connection of obviously to Savannah Guthrie, it has brought them a lot of leads, and so that's at least a bit of good news. But they didn't really have much as far as new updates go, and all of the answers are pretty much exactly what you were expecting, from yesterday's, which was just that they're investigating, they're looking at everything. They're looking at cameras from neighbors, they're looking at cameras from security cameras outside. They're investigating all sorts of evidence both inside the home and outside the home. Unfortunately, just doesn't seem like a lot of new information to be shared at this time.
Yeah, they answer the questions that a lot of us have, right? And I jotted some of these notes down here, but for those who might be joining later, they asked, was it random or targeted? To which he said, we don't know. They asked, is there anything that we know about maybe the way she left, maybe what she was wearing, some key things that we could use to identify? He said that they're not sure. Asked, is she alive? Is there any indication that she's alive? Talking about that medication and how that medication is important within 24 hours to be taking, and it's been over 48 hours now, to which he responded, we hope that we are searching for an alive person. So they're still waiting for DNA results. Again, that was one of the bigger questions that was asked. They said that they've gotten some back, but nothing implicating any suspects yet.
Yeah, we had seen reports earlier about blood found at the scene of the crime, assuming that this is a crime. He seemed to kind of throw a little bit of cold water on that. Didn't, confirm that there was blood inside or outside of the home. Just said basically that the DNA has been, or any forensics have been sent off, and that the lab will get back to them and tell them what they have found, if they have found anything. Unfortunately, not a lot here. And I know, people online, on Facebook, on TikTok, as you're watching this stream, I get it. There's a frustration that is building because it doesn't seem like there's any forward movement or forward progress in this case. And that's valid. It's totally understandable. At the same time, these are, in these investigations, whether it be a high profile one like this or your everyday investigation, these take time. There's
right.
a lot of time and a lot of work that goes into these. So you just have to be patient, and you have to wait and hope for good news. And obviously everybody has got Nancy Guthrie and Savannah Guthrie in their thoughts, their prayers, as they hope for a better resolution, a better outcome.
Well, and many times when they have, even if they do have a new piece of evidence, they're very careful in what they release, how they release it, because, everyone has access to this same press conference, right? If you're trying to nail down a lead on a potential suspect, even if you have one, you're not sure what you want to put out there because that suspect could be watching. And, ultimately the goal of everyone is to get Nancy home and to solve this case. And so that's what they're doing. And he mentioned he's got a lot of detectives doing a lot of work around the clock. Again, the FBI is involved, and so he said we can expect to hear from them Thursday morning unless there's some major breaking news. But until then, if there are any other updates going on with this case, you can find them at WFLA.com. We'll be giving you updates as soon as we can there. If there's another press conference or anything major, we will go live on YouTube, Facebook, and TikTok, as we do here at WFLA Now from the Stream Center. Again, WFLA.com for any new news, any new information as we get it. Thank you so much for being here. Again, for more updates, join us there. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.